Hi, welcome back to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover of the Adria Sonic Supreme 700 DC. So as we start, we'll walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle first. Using the Adria flip key, it will open up all your locks. So when the red is exposed round the ring of the barrel, it's open. You can turn it and push it in, and that is it locked when it's flush. So bring the red ring out on the barrel, turn it. This is the access to your hookup point. So to hook the vehicle up, get your hooker blade, lift the collar and slide up onto here. Always hook the vehicle up first, then the power source, and do it in reverse order when unhooking. Pop the cable through the groove here so you can shut the door, and then on the opposite side you've got an external TV point, so if you're on a super site you can connect to their aerial, and you've got twin USBs in there for charging any appliance. So just hold the wire in, shut the door, and then you'll want to lock it once you're hooked up, like so. Going further along, you've got your awning, your two fridge vents. The step switch is just here, so you need to bring that in and out before you start travelling. So take it in before you start driving away, bring it out to get out of the vehicle because it's quite a high vehicle. Awning light, awning, garage. So again, garage opens with the Adria key, and in here you do have a toolkit which includes a jack and a brace and a toe and eye. There's your hooker blade. It does just come with a space saver, so it doesn't come with a wheel. It comes with a blow up kit. The customer has opted for this, so this doesn't come as part of the vehicle. This is an extra. It'll normally just come with a fix and go kit. You've got your two seat backs in there that go on the front seats, so you lift the seats up on the fold-away lounge and they go on as a padding on the back of the seat. Electric bed, so if you've got anything in the garage that, like a bike, you can lift it up and gain a bit more headroom, but it will lift the island bed in the vehicle higher. So 12 volt point, mains point. It's heated by the Alde heating system in here. You've got tethering points to tie your loads down on these lugs with your tethering points, and then you do have a shower point, so an external shower, so you get your hose, cut that cable tie off, make sure the pump's on. If you've got hot water in the boiler, then you'll have hot water. If you've just turned it on, then you'll need to wait for it to heat up. You can select your temperature, and then you can hose the bikes, the boots, the kids off when you've been walking along the beach. Remember to drain it off, just get all the water out of it before then you do store it away. Come to the back of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light, and then your reversing camera, rear view camera. This is where the back panel's been strengthened to take a bike rack, should you want a bike rack on the back. It's where the support is in the back panel. And then coming round to the passenger side, obviously another garage door, just storage. You've got your storage drawer, some compartments in there. On this side, your waste water, so this is anything that you've put down a plug hole, must be drained off in the winter to stop it from freezing, but normally on the way out of your site you drive over a grid. There's a switch on the side of the door there on the passenger side. It's an electronic dump, so it'll just open, push it to the down position, it'll open the valve and it'll allow that wastewater out. cassette toilets in here. So to operate your cassette toilet, you want to ensure that the blade's in the closed position so that the mechanism isn't engaged in the cassette, and then you'll be able to lift and slide the cassette free of the vehicle. Got wheels so you can drag it to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block on site. And then to empty, remove the cap, press this button in on the bottom as you're pouring it out. It'll just allow some air in, stops it glugging. And then once you've tipped it out, there's normally a tap, so put some water in, give it a rinse, shake the cassette and tip out again. And then if you're using the green or the
barrels come out on
the green or the blue liquid, you do a capful into here. It's good to go back into the vehicle. If you're using the liquid, if you're using the tablet, sorry, you put a pint of water in via here, and then chuck a tablet in, either in here like so, or push it back into the vehicle, and you can drop a tablet straight in down the toilet with a pint of water, and that'll break up into the liquid and break down the things in the cassette. Moving on from your cassette, you've got your LPG locker. So this is gas. So this is where you can fit two 11 kilogram bottles in here, or you can have a 6 and 11. This is just our test bottle. So the straps to strap the bottle in once it's on board, and then to connect the gas bottle to the vehicle, you've got a pigtail. So this one is a hand tighten. So it's opposite threads with it being gas. So you'd hand tighten it and then turn the bottle on and off from the top. Always turn it off before you do start traveling, and make sure that it is strapped in, and then turn it on when you arrive on site. If you are struggling to get gas, just make sure that this crash valve hasn't gone off, because if it has gone off, the little yellow toggle will stick out. You need to push it in, hold it for 3 seconds until it stays flush, and then that will then allow the gas into the vehicle. You've got your vent for your Alde boiler. So your Alde boiler is somewhere around here. So this just allows the fumes out when operating on gas. Obviously make sure that the boiler is drained down in the winter, which I'll show you further on in the video. You've got a 12 volt point there for a submersible pump if you are filling from an aqua roll or a barrel, but normally you would just fill from a hose pipe, where you would take the cap off and put your hose pipe in there, fill until it overflows, or until you're happy you've got enough water on board, which you can see on the main panel. And this is lockable with the Adria key, so you can lock that into place. You've got AdBlue, as it's a new diesel styled engine, it needs AdBlue to clean the catalytic converter out so that no carbon deposit builds up in there and make your emissions dirty. It's a 19 litre tank on a Ducato, so make sure that you do top it up. The light will come on the dash when it needs it, and it'll do 5,000 miles. So at 4,000 miles it'll tell you it needs AdBlue, and it'll give you a mileage countdown. Fill it up between that countdown, because if it goes to 0 it will go, the engine simply won't start. So do top it up. Buy it on the pumps is slightly cheaper than buying it in the barrels, and you can get this from most service stations now, as it's a common thing on most new cars, lorries and buses. And then you do have your diesel, so AdBlue diesel. Use the ignition key to open and fill with diesel fuel. To pop the bonnet, just on the side of the dashboard, you've got your bonnet release, and you have got your waste water switch here, which I'll explain further in the video once I'm in the cab towards the end. And then you can just second catch here to lift the bonnet up. You'll then need to put the stay on the bonnet as it doesn't hold itself. So just pop that on there like so, hold the bonnet up. Screen wash, which is the main one you're going to need when touring, is filling your screen wash up when it goes empty. You've got your coolant, brake fluid, and then to jump start the vehicle you would need to earth off the earthing point, which is up here. And then if you put your key in here and lift this little cover up, you've got your positive terminal there for giving or receiving a jump start. And then you do have your Adria weight plate, so 4.4 ton gross vehicle weight. If you were to put a tow bar on and tow with this, you can tow the vehicle, and whatever you're towing can't exceed 6,150 kilograms. To operate your Adria control panel, so you've got your master switch in the top right hand corner, which turns the vehicle on and off on either 12 volt or 240 volt, depending if you're hooked up. If you are hooked up, you'll get this symbol here, which means you're receiving 230 volts, and it'll be charging your leisure battery. You can see that it's got the external temperature, the internal temperature, your on mains, because it's hooked up. This is just showing if your on light's on and off, and at present it's on. I'll show you how to turn it on and off. Your fresh water is 100% full, your wastewater is 0 as it's empty, and your pump is turned off. So starting off with the controls on the left hand side, so you've got your lighting. So this is whether you want your inside lights to be on and off, and you would just scroll between the two here. So this is your inside interior lighting, and then this one is your awning lighting on the outside of the motorhome. You've got your temperatures, so inside 19 degrees, outside 9. Settings for the screen, date and time when that changes, brightness and so on in there. And then you do have your pump on the bottom left hand corner, so you can turn that on and off. And then that'll pressurise water to the taps, toilet and shower. And then coming down the right hand side, you've got obviously your master switch, your batteries, so it'll show 2 batteries, and use the control dial and you'll be able to show the voltage. So 13.9 in the vehicle, 14.3 volts in the leisure. Obviously that's with hookup. Take the hookup out to give a true reading, and we're currently drawing 1.55 amp off the leisure battery that's currently being used. And then you've got your water switch, it's 100% fresh, 0 waste, and then a back button. And then you can do a quick glance on the screen, so you can show your temperatures, you hook up, if your awning light's on, you're charging your leisure battery, fresh water, wastewater, and the pump is on. To operate the Alde control panel, so this is your heating and hot water. So you turn on and off on this button here on the left hand side. So turn it on, it'll run through its cycle of turning on, and then at present this is just the standby screen, so it's telling you that the inside of the motorhome is 22 degrees and the outside of the motorhome is 8 degrees. You're on hookup and that the fans are on circulation. To change any of the settings, you need to press menu, which is this button here. So you can see at the top you've got a house with a thermometer in. This is how hot you want the inside of the motorhome to be. So all the way to 30 degrees is the top, or you can turn it down. So that's just your temperature that you want the inside of the motorhome to get to. And then here you've got your water, so it looks like a shower head, which it is. and this is how hot you want your water. So you've only got one heat setting, and you've got it on half a bar, which means it'll heat the water and continue to heat the vehicle like so. So if you want heating and hot water on, you'd have it like this. If you wanted the hot water to be prioritized, so it means boost setting, have it on full, and that'll turn off the heating of the motorhome and heat the water first. But normally you'd have it running like this, so it's half a bar, means it's heating the water as well as heating the van. If you want on a site, you wouldn't waste your gas, so you'd use electric, which is this one here. So you've got 1 kilowatt, 750 watts, 2 kilowatts, 1500 watts, or 3 kilowatts. Depending on the amperage the site gives you will determine whether you use 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts. So normally on most sites you'd use 2. On smaller CL sites and airs abroad you may have to use 1, as they aren't as generous with the electricity. And then if you are wild camping, you'd use gas, which is this one here, and this will heat the water off your gas cylinder. Of course you can use the gas and electric together, so you can use 2 kilowatts or 1 kilowatt of electric with gas, or 3 kilowatts if you want, depending if your site gives you enough electric. So normally 2 and gas is fine, and that'll drastically reduce the time it takes to heat the water or the vehicle. So you'd use that more in the winter. If you've paid your site fees, again, you don't want to waste your gas. You can go into your settings, you can set timers, but I'll not confuse you, but I will show you where the reset buttons is. So if you ever need to reset it, you just scroll down to reset, press reset, and it will reset the panel. And you might have to do that if the hot water is only showing 1 solid bar instead of 2 stage settings, because sometimes it just does go like that, and that's on all motorhomes and caravans. You've just got to reset it and then it'll work fine once it's been reset. To the right hand side of the bed you've got a wardrobe, but most importantly you've got your Alde expansion tank in here. So this is a header tank that takes antifreeze liquid. As this is more like a household system rather than the Truma being an air blown, this has got a radiator, so this pushes the antifreeze through the radiators to provide the heat. As you can see there, it's bubbling away because it's on. Turn the system on to get a reading of where the liquid is at, so it should sit somewhere between min and max when on. Obviously when it's off it'll show a lot lower than what it is, because it is expanding the liquid with the temperature in that tank. It's a 5-year lifespan of that liquid, so if you're buying a brand new vehicle, you've got from 5 until it's 5-year-old, and then on your 5th service you'll want the Alde expansion tank liquid drained and topped up with new liquid, which you can do via the top. And you've got a breather pipe there, and there is 5 other liquids or brands of antifreeze, should I say, that Alde recommend for topping up and using. But you can find all the details on the website, but ask your dealers on your 5th service. That'll need changed, as it is only a 5-year lifespan of the liquid. Directly behind the passenger seat there's another compartment in the floor, which is where your boiler drain is. So this is a Truma frost control dump valve. So what it'll do is at 3 degrees it will automatically drop the water when not in use. So this will prevent the water from freezing in the boiler, because if the water did freeze in the boiler, obviously it's 10 litres of water in the Alde boiler, it'll cause a lot of damage. It's not covered under warranty, and it's very expensive to replace or repair the parts needed for the Alde boiler or the complete unit. But what I would do is I wouldn't rely on it, because if it ever becomes faulty and you've relied on the valve, then you're in an expensive situation to repair the boiler. So when the diamond is across the vehicle and the button on the sides flush, there's no toggle in the middle sticking out, so it's flush on the top, the boiler is closed. It's holding 10 litres of water. You can use the vehicle. In the winter you need to drain it off, so what you need to do is you need to turn it. The button will pop out at the bottom. You'll see that there's a black nib, and it'll drain 10 litres of water directly out underneath the chassis. And then all you need to do is, when you come to reuse the vehicle, turn the diamond to this position, push the button in. The button will then stay in. If you're doing it and it's still cold, you may just need to heat this area up first with like a hairdryer or so, because it's still, if you're doing it in colder weather, it's still picking up that it's cold. So that button will just keep popping out. If you heat it up first, if you ever get that situation, heat it up with a hairdryer or something, and then push it in, turn the hot water system on. It'll get this area warm anyway through the pipes, but you will have to bleed the system first. So once you've shut the valve, you would then fill the vehicle with fresh water, shut all the taps in the vehicle, assemble the shower head back together and prime the water through by going to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get a pressurised cold water feed because it's pumping it directly from the freshwater tank in the floor via the pump to the tap. Go to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises because it's transferring the water from your onboard freshwater tank into your Alde boiler and then filling that up with 10 litres. So it's just pushing all the air out until you get a free flow of water on the hot side. Then your system is primed. Then you can continue to heat the water and test that your boiler is then bringing the water up to temperature. But remember, drain it off in the winter. So you drain this off, you drain your fresh water and you drain your waste, and you'd leave all your taps open throughout the vehicle to stop any water from coiling up in any pipeworks, any tanks or any taps and causing any damage in the winter. So if you lift your cushions off, on either side of the vehicle you've got two fold up travelling seats, so it's kind of like a smart lounge. So when you're on site, you've got your long bench seat, and when you want to travel, two extra passengers in the back, you can do. So you've got belted seats, so you'd lift, slide down the backrest, then you'd pop the board back down and you'd use the big base cushion onto there, and then you do have a travelling seat. So you've got a full 3-point belt as well. But underneath this one you do have all of your 12-volt fuses. So this is where your fuse box is for your 12-volt side off your leisure battery. So do carry some spare blade fuses with you, just in case one does blow. You can replenish the fuse. And then you've got a little cupboard door here, which is where your main fuse, your main trips are, should I say, for your 240-volt side when on hookup. And you've got in the corner there, just down here, a battery isolation switch. So at the minute it's on, which means that it's drawing the power from your leisure battery. If you weren't hooked up, you can turn that off if you're putting the vehicle on the drive for a couple of months over the winter and not in use, or putting it into storage to stop any power drain. You can isolate the leisure battery so that it doesn't go flat in case anything is slowly draining the power off the battery. Tolerate the drop down bed above the cab. First of all, you need to fold the seats. So on the seats, if you turn these back, fold the seats down. Just be careful with the driver's seat on the horn, because you don't want to push it too close to the horn and then put the bed down and the horn be going off. And then what you'll be able to do is, under here there's a switch for the bed, which lowers the bed down. You may just want to fold these down first so it doesn't catch the cushions. That'll come all the way and it'll stop there. Got a safety net just clips onto here if you're putting children in it. And then you do have a resettable fuse, so should the switch not be working, you can reset the fuse, which is this little toggle here. It says 12 volt reset fuse, and then you can take the bed back up. You do have two lights either side, which you just touch in the middle, and they bring on your little reading lights for up above the bed, and a large opening skylight with blackout blind and fly screen on there. And then of course you've got your privacy curtains, so you can black that area out from the rest of the van if you want some privacy, if you're using it as a four-berth. To drain off your waste, next to your passenger door, or should I say the front door on the A-Class, because you've only got one, which is on the passenger side, you've got a three-way rocker switch here. So at the top is locked, and then to the bottom is open, and it will drain off your wastewater. So normally you would drive over a grid, switch it down, and it's an electronic dump, and it'll start to drain the water out directly onto the grid. Or if you're on a super site, you may just need a pipe connection to push a bit of pipe in, and then you can leave it in the open position and it'll just drain off into the gully at the back of your pitch, so that your tank isn't holding any water. But in the winter, again, very important that you drain off the waste so that the water doesn't freeze in the tank. And your wastewater is anything that you've drained off via a plug hole. Underneath the hatch in the floor between the fridge and the kitchen, you do have the location of your leisure battery. So in here you've got one leisure battery and a main 50 amp battery fuse here underneath the floor. And then underneath this one, which is just underneath your table, you've got the location of your freshwater tank. So if you need to be in, you can unscrew it and have a look at your fresh water if you need to, or rinse it out, clean it out. But to drain it off, so there's no drain from outside, there's no tap of such. You've got this little cog here, you just turn it to the front of the van, so turn it to the right. Or should I say turn it to the left. And you'll be able to hear the water draining out underneath the vehicle. You'd only drain it off if you've taken on contaminated water, or you drain it off for the winter where you don't want to leave any water inside the vehicle, because if you leave any water in the tanks it can freeze and cause a lot of damage, and it isn't covered under your Adria warranty. So drain it off. So to lock it to the front, to open it to the back, so to the right to open, to the left to lock, or to the right to lock, to the left to open even, and you'll be able to drain off your fresh water. So in the kitchen area you've got 3 lit gas rings. Allow them to cool down before you put the hob top down. And then you do have, so there's your grill pan. You do have a grill which is lit, as you can see. Keep it held in to allow the thermocouple to get warm before releasing, and then it'll stay lit like so. And underneath you've got your oven. You may want to take your grill pan and oven shelf out when travelling, or wrap them up just to stop them rattling when you're going down the road. Pushing the catches in, you'll be able to release the door, and you've got some storage underneath the oven. followed by 3 storage drawers. You do have quick release catches underneath here, because underneath this one at the back is where your water, sure flow water pump is for pressurising your water. Another drawer, submersible pump, if you ever need to fill from a submersible pump, which is where you drop the pump into a bucket and fill that way instead of from a hose pipe. But you shouldn't really need to use that much unless you plan on doing a lot of wild camping. Sink plugs. And then as long as the pump is on, you'll have a pressurised flow of hot and cold water. Obviously your hot water will only work if you've got your Alde system on, and that's getting the temperature there now. As you can see, there's steam coming off the water. To operate the Thetford fridge, so you turn on and off via this button here, and then you can press the square button to change the source. So it's 3-way, gas, electric and battery. So if you leave it on A, which stands for automatic energy selection, it'll pick out the best source available at any time. So at present we're hooked up. It's when to hook up, and we've got gas on, so it's known not to waste the gas. It has went to 240 volts, so it's acting like a household fridge first, as hookups available. If I was to take the hookup out, it would switch over to gas, and if I was to start the engine, it will switch over to the battery setting, which is where the engine alternator sends a feed to the fridge, and it basically just keeps the fridge at the same temperature it was at when departing. So basically it acts like a large cool box and keeps your shopping nice and fresh until you either hook back up and it'll go back over to hook up, or gas. If you want to manually change it, you press the square button, wait until it starts flashing and use the arrows, and you've got mains power 240 volt, battery off the 12 volt ignition when the engine's running, and gas. And then you just enter. This is your temperature, so when pre-chilling, add 5 and press enter. And then when you have your shopping in, you may want to just turn it down to 3 or 4, as sometimes it can freeze the freezer, freeze the fridge even, and press, and then that is lit on gas. Please note, with the gas on hookup, or should I say on automatic, once you've had it on and it's switched over to battery as you've been travelling, and you've now arrived to fill the vehicle with diesel at a petrol forecourt, the fridge is programmed to wait 20 minutes, because if you've left your gas open and it's finding gas, it waits 20 minutes before lighting, because that's the last thing you want, is the fridge sparking in a petrol station. So even when you arrive while camping, it'll not light for 20 minutes, so you'll have to manually put it on until you can then wait 20 minutes and switch it back to automatic. But you will need to clean your fridge out when you're not using it and leave the door open, as if you don't, it's got a rubber on there. It'll form an airtight seal and trap that air in. So pop this into the middle, press the door up against it, and you can see there the door is not shut and it's allowing air circulation in and out of the fridge. In the toilets, you've got the toilet to your left hand side. The door that closes the toilet off acts as the bedroom door as well, or you can close off the whole space and have the toilet and shower. But to operate your toilet, make sure the pump's on, and you'll be able to press the blue button, which gives you a fresh water flush. Always flush the toilet first, which keeps the seal between the cassette and the bottom of the toilet lubricated. And then using the grey slide it to the right, so push it away from you. Use the toilet with the blade open, and that will ensure everything goes into the cassette. And then flush after use and slide this back to the left, which is bringing it towards you. and that'll then close the cassette off so that it's not engaged, the mechanism's not engaged. And then should you get the light underneath this symbol here, which indicates that the cassette is full, the cassette will be able to be lifted out the side of the vehicle and emptied. Catch on the top, and you've got toiletry cabinet underneath the sink. Obviously you've got your fins underneath there as well for your radiator, so in here will get warm. Light for behind the mirror, and the main light in this. Your hot water system's working there, so that's up the temperature as well, and pressurised. But push the plug in if you want to use the hand basin, followed by another cabinet, so you can fill that with your toiletries. And above where we do have a skylight, so you can push, open that up, or put it into these two notches if you want a nice bit of ventilation in the summer months when the weather's nice. But always make sure it is securely shut like so, so the bar is above the button before travelling. And you've got a fly screen and a blackout blind on the skylight. Across from us we do have your shower. So these are just magnetic shower screens, so make sure that they push back and clip back before travelling. When winterising, we always recommend that you unscrew the shower head from the hose, because any water could coil up here, and lie the hose in the shower tray with all the mixer taps open throughout the vehicle. We do have a light, so there's a little light behind this board to give nice ambient lighting in your shower, with the same skylight as what's in your washroom. Above your fridge in the large cabinet, you do have your View Cube remote. So this is your remote here, which is connected via the satellite and power. Via the green light there is a little black button, so when that's flashing you just need to press and hold until it goes to a solid green light. When it goes to a solid green light, it's found the satellite, and you'll actually hear the satellite receiver in the View Cube move around on the roof until it's locked on and you get the green light, which means it's found signal. To tune the tellies, press the settings, scroll all the way down, and go to programs, and then you want to go to program tuning and settings and press enter. And then you always want to make sure that the program mode is on satellite if you've got a satellite system on the van like this one has, or aerial antenna if it's just an aerial on the roof of the van, and press auto tune. Select antenna if you were tuning for digital. If you've got a satellite, select satellite, which is selected, and press next. It's on FreeSat because you want to find free view channels. Press next, and it'll start and find as many channels as it can on satellite or digital if you're tuning for digital channels. And as you can see there, it's picked up 151 channels and 38 radio stations, and your telly's working. So now in the cab, which is based on the new Series 8 Fiat Ducato, you've got your handbrake down to your right, so you can pop that on and off. Got some storage in here as it's the A-Class, and a bleed valve for the Alde heating system. There's a few of these located in various places on the vehicle. You've got your mirror adjustment for your coach style mirrors, which does the top. You've got to manually do the bottom, which is your blind spot. And then you've got this handy switch here, which is from your Alde system. So when you put your ignition on and you've got a steamed up windscreen, there's vents in the front from the Alde heating system, like a radiator vent. And what you can do is you can turn them on and you'll hear the fans kick in, and that'll demist the windscreen. At the same time you can have your other one on from the cab, and it should minimize the time you're waiting for your windscreen to be demisted. Or if you're getting ready to leave site, you can pop your ignition on. You can turn that on when you're packing the van still up, unhooking it, turning your gas off and getting ready to go on the road. Rear view camera is on all the time, as well as when in reverse. Headlight adjustment. Press once for your front fogs, press again for your rear, because you've got front and rear fog lights. And you can turn your start stop off here if you don't want that to work. The start stop will only work if the battery's at a good enough voltage. When you put your foot on the brake, as this one is an automatic, it will cut out, and as soon as you lift off the brake it will cut back in. But remember, if it's been sat for a couple of weeks or a couple of days, the start stop might not work straight away. It'll need a good run to replenish the charge in the battery before it will then kick back in and out. You've got your wipers. So just one setting, you've just got to turn it on here for, so you can't lift it up, you've just got to turn the end of the stalk for the how quick you want the wipers to go on the screen. So the speed, lights and indicators. You can scroll through your digital dashboard, so you can view your trips, you can view your coolant temperature by just going up and down. You can go to your audio and you can see what radio station you're playing, or if you're using Bluetooth to Apple Music or something like that, you can put that on there. If there's any messages, it will come on here as well. So if it comes up with a light or a tire pressure light, something like that, that'll come on here. You can go into your settings of the vehicle, or you can go back to your home, which is your digital speedometer. Your fuel this side, as you can see there, it's got half a tank in this model, so you can see your fuel, see your handbrakes on, and that it's telling me that I need my seatbelt on because I'm sitting on the seat, and that one of the doors is open slightly, as the back door is open. And you've got your temperature on this side underneath your rev count. You can answer and decline a call, or you can use Uconnect and speak to it, and it'll come up on here. And then this side you do have cruise control, so you need to just press that button first and it'll come up cruise control ready, and you can go up and down once you get the speed to set. So plus to set, press and hold to speed up. If you we're going too quick and you're going from 70 to 60, you can slow it down by just knocking it down. Or if you've got to cancel it, you can cancel it here or with the foot brake and resume it to the last speed set before turning the engine off. So if you've turned the engine off, you will have to reset it again by setting it. If you haven't, then you can just press resume and it'll go to the last speed set. Limiter, you can press speed limiter if you're in a average speed camera zone, and as you can see there, it's going up here, so it's saying it's 25. If you press and hold, it'll go up in 5s. If you press slowly, it'll go up in 1s, and again using the up and down arrows. On the back of the steering wheel, you've got the volume of the head unit, so you can, for the radios you can turn up and down. And on this side you can skip through the tracks, so it'll change the radio station or the tracks if you're using it off Bluetooth audio or Apple CarPlay. 9-speed automatic gearbox, so press the gear selector and you'll be able to go from park to reverse, which doesn't bring the camera on here, brings it on there, and you'll hear the sensors there. Neutral all the way down to drive, and it'll change gear by itself. Push it to the left and you can go up and down the gears, and it'll come up there in the top corner, first, second, if you are needing to go into manual mode. You've got drive mode at the top, which goes through eco, normal and power. So normally I would just leave it on normal. You'll be able to get it up to speed if you are joining a dual carriageway. And then if you wanted to, once you're up at speed, you can press it again and put it into eco, and it'll just preserve a bit of fuel. But if you were wanting to overtake, then put it back into normal. You do have power as well, which just holds the revs. If you are going up and down hills and things, you can put it into power and it'll just hold the gear that slightly little bit longer. But you do have kick down function with an automatic, so if you were struggling, just floor the accelerator, it'll drop a gear or two and it'll give you the power that you need to get up those hills. Hazards, heated mirrors, turns the head unit on and off, and is the volume. Locks the doors if the door was to be shut properly. So as the doors open, open the door again. You haven't shut it properly. And then you'll be able to press and lock the door. You've got traction control plus, so if you are stuck on wet grass you can turn that on, and what that'll do is it'll stop you from wheel spinning and allow you to give the power that you need and stop the ESP system kicking in. And then you do have hill descent control, which is called gravity control. So it just means if you're going down a steep hill, it applies the engine brakes as well as you applying the actual brake. USB, so you've got two types now, as the new one is USB-C, but you still have the normal USB. And then you've got 12 volt. The standard USB underneath for connecting to the radio and cup holders. Temperature that you want. If you put it on auto, it'll just automatically circulate to the fan speed that it needs to. So if it's too hot, and you can put it to auto, and it'll take it off, blowing it either to the screen, your face or your feet, and it'll just circulate it all over. You've got max demist for your windscreen, max aircon, and it'll put it on full power as well as low aircon setting. So if you're away abroad with a van, you put the max aircon to cool yourselves down. And then you've got the various circulation settings, so screen and face, screen, face and feet, just to your face, to your feet as well, or just to the footwells. Aircon on and off, recirculation, and then you can turn it off if you don't want the air conditioning on. To work the new Uconnect head unit, you're on the home screen, which has got your sat nav, what radio station on, and I've paired my phone to show you how your Apple CarPlay works. So you can press in the top corner and it makes the map big. So you've got the sat nav, so it's showing you a map of the road. If you go, you can go 3D and you can get an overview, and you can turn the volume on off, so you can turn it for alerts only, you can mute it or you can unmute it here. You can search the address name or the postcode. And then you press drive and it'll calculate the route. So this is just calculating the route from Tyne Valley, even though we're sat at Tyne Valley. And you would just press drive and set that. Or you can go to the bottom left hand corner. You can view, you can search again, you can view your recent destinations, you can add a house and a work. Don't add your exact house address, just add the postcode. So if anything happens to the vehicle, they don't know where you live. You can view the map and you can go into this settings for the sat nav. So you've got the sound alerts, the routing, the map view, if there was an issue. But to be fair, that's probably the best sat nav we've seen to date on a motorhome. Got your radio, so it's on FM or DAB. It's on DAB at the minute. You can press 1 to 6 to save your favourite channels, so you can scroll along and press up to 12 and save your favourite radio stations. You can browse all stations here, so you can just scroll through here and pick your station that you want, and then pressing save that. You've got your audio settings, so this is just your fader, your equalizer, your balance, and where the sound's coming from, but that's all okay. Or you can go to source and you can change it to Bluetooth if you wanted to use, because it doesn't take a CD. If you want to use your songs off your phone, you can pair it via Bluetooth and use Bluetooth audio to stream over your songs. Or you go back to the home screen and press Apple CarPlay. It's brought up my phone there, so it's got me Apple Music, Apple Maps, if you wanted to use Apple Maps, if the head unit wasn't accepting or didn't recognise the address, Apple Maps might, if you use an iPhone. I think it is Android Auto as well, but it's wireless, so you don't need a wire. You can just have your phone in your pocket, which is great. You've got all your climate control here, so you can operate it off the head unit as well as off the dials below. Obviously a shortcut for your sat nav, shortcut for your Apple CarPlay, and then you can go to the settings of the vehicle. You can view your trip computers, so you can view trip 1 and trip B. Instead of viewing it through there, you can view it through here, so you can see your distance, your miles per gallon, your average speed, and so on, trip 1 and trip 2. And you just press and hold to reset them if you're doing a longer journey and you wanted to see what the actual miles per gallon you're getting and the travelling times that it's taking you to travel. That's all through there. You've got driver 1, so you can customise that with your name and things. But that's the home screen there for the head unit, which is the new Uconnect. And then obviously to connect your phone, so you'll want to know how that works. Settings. Just keep scrolling through. Bluetooth device management, so it's showing my phone on there. You can then add a device. Do you want to pair? Okay, it will end the Apple CarPlay session, so if you're adding another phone, it'll take their phone on and take yours off. You want to find Uconnect, and once you find Uconnect on your phone, pair with it. It'll then ask to press pair on here, pair on your phone, and then it'll ask if you want to download your phone book. It'll download all your phone book, so that when you go into your, if you're not connected via Apple CarPlay and you're just connected normally, or Android Auto, you can just go in to phone and you can view all your contacts. But Apple CarPlay takes over the Bluetooth, and obviously you can go to your phone and you can view all your contacts in your phone book. So to black the cab out on an evening, you've got your slide out windscreen blind, which just slides up. like so, and then hide these down, magnet strip there. Like so. That'll just clip on here on a magnet, so you'll be able to let go of it like that, like so. And that's the carb blacked out for when you're parked up on an evening.